science. And in presenting order, we have Romel, Ellie, Kai, and Jolie, and together we make up the saber-toothed salmon. And we'd like to discuss effects of anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions on Arctic marine mammals. Before we begin, I'd like to share our initial question. How have anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions influenced marine mammals in the Arctic? During the remainder of the presentation, we'd like you to keep this question in the back of your minds as we have during our research and writing. In the next few minutes, our team will delve into the importance of marine mammals to the Arctic, climate change and carbon dioxide, as well as the effects shipping has on marine mammals. To prove the importance, we will share data comparing shipping effects in the Arctic and Glacier Bay. I clicked it, it didn't go. Next, Romel will be touching on the importance of marine mammals to the Arctic.
Thank you, Cadence. To understand the importance of whales to Arctic communities, we first need to understand the Arctic region itself. The Arctic region is characterized by anything above 66.5 degrees north latitude. Russia, the United States, Greenland, Canada, and Norway border the Arctic. There are a number of indigenous communities, including Utqiagvik and Adequist, and Wainwright. Now knowing a little more about the Arctic, let's move on how whales are impacting the culture in the Arctic. Whales impact the northern indigenous people immensely. Indigenous people use whales for their subsistence lifestyle, using the bones for tools, baleen for art, and eating the edible meat. At the end of the spring whale hunt, there is a festival called Nunatak. This festival is a celebration for all the whales that have been hunted. One of the main events in the Nunatak festival is a blanket toss. The blanket toss includes a sealskin tarp that people jump on, while other community members help them jump. The jumper's main goal is to jump as high as they can. This replicates what indigenous people do to spot whales from far distances. During the festival, they serve a delicacy called muktuk. Muktuk is the pink blubbery part of the whale that is boiled or eaten raw. Hunting whales and the Nunatak festival are both essential cultural traditions for indigenous communities. The harvest of marine mammals in indigenous communities not only have significant cultural significance, but also have economic benefits as well. Indigenous people benefit a huge amount from harvesting whales. A whale can produce around 10,000 pounds of edible meat. In indigenous communities, a pound of beef can cost around $13 per pound. If you equate the cost of beef and whale meat by multiplying $13 per pound and 10,000 pounds, the cost of a whale can be around $130,000. This amount is only for one whale, but indigenous communities have caught around 20 whales per year. Multiplying 130,000 by the average amount of whales caught, you earn around $2.6 million from the hunt. Although these hunts are important to indigenous communities, these hunts might be threatened by environmental changes. Next is Ellie on climate change and carbon dioxide in the Arctic and how it is affecting the environment.
Thank you, Romel. Climate change, a topic that is constantly debated and talked about in both everyday life and the scientific world, is defined by NASA as a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. You may be wondering, what does this mean for the Arctic? As shown in Figure 1, the current carbon dioxide levels are at an all-time high, surpassing the 1950 levels by over 100 parts per million, with current numbers sitting around a staggering 412 parts per million. These astronomical numbers are proving to be detrimental to the Arctic ecosystem, as it is being impacted at a much faster rate than any other location on Earth. Unlike other natural gases, carbon dioxide has a long atmospheric residence time, anywhere from 300 to 1,000 years. Humanity and various ecosystems depend on the steady regulation of these cycles, and when they are off balance, naturally occurring functions such as vegetation growth, precipitation patterns, and temperature fluctuations have the potential to become significantly altered. In addition, the average temperature in the Arctic region has been increasing drastically over the years, as shown in Figure 2. These temperatures are means for concern, as an increase in temperature directly correlates to an increased amount of melted permafrost, releasing unprecedented amounts of methane, a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. As temperatures continue to rise, sea ice extent decreases. As shown in the graph, the September minimum extent dropped over 20% from 2000 to 2005. The amount of sea ice lost each year is about 46,500 square kilometers, almost twice the size of New Hampshire. This notable decrease proves the drastic impact of the effects of anthropogenic carbon dioxide on Arctic sea ice. One contributing factor to this issue is the Arctic albedo effect. Taking into account how sea ice is already at lower volumes due to increased temperatures, there is immediately less albedo in the Arctic region. The Arctic albedo effect is a positive feedback loop, consequently occurring when heat from solar rays that would have typically been reflected by sea ice is now absorbed into the ocean, consequently raising water temperatures significantly and melting the sea ice. This stunning cycle has resulted in major loss of sea ice throughout polar regions, melting ice at an alarming rate of almost 13% per decade. Next will be Kai, speaking on the effects of shipping on marine mammals in the Arctic.
Thank you, Ellie. With the reduction of sea ice extent, the Arctic will be open, allowing more ships to pass through. Ship traffic in the Arctic could cause increased noise pollution, whale strikes, invasive species, and loss of habitat and food. The increased flow of ships could cause more collisions with whales, and invasive species could be released into the Arctic from ballast waters or the hull of ships. With the increased presence of shipping in the Arctic, the sustainability of marine mammals has the potential to be negatively impacted, which is vital to indigenous Arctic communities. Noise pollution is one of the biggest problems caused by ships. Whales heavily rely on their hearing to communicate. Seismic guns and active naval sonar have proven to be detrimental to marine animals. Whales may cease calling, change diving patterns, and modify migration paths as a response. Seismic air guns, typically looking for oil and gas deposits, will have more opportunities to do so with this decrease in sea ice, allowing them to penetrate deep into the Arctic. Loud ships can cause whales to go deaf, which could lead to whales stranding themselves or dying due to a lack of hearing. They could also force whales out of their natural habitat to find somewhere quieter. This could even impact other Arctic animals who depend on whales to keep their populations in check. That's Julie's part. Another prevalent issue caused by the presence of ships is ship strikes. With an increase in vessels in the Arctic, collisions with whales could become more common. Whales are very likely to die if they are hit by a ship, but even if they survive the initial collision, most whales could not support themselves while injured. This could cause serious declines in whale populations, so it is imperative we keep ship strikes to a minimum. Next will be Jolie talking about the effects of shipping on marine mammals elsewhere.
My name is Jolie, and I'm talking about stuff outside of the Arctic to help prove Kai and his points. Next is Cadence to help wrap up our presentation.
Thank you, Jolie. To conclude, with anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions growing rapidly and the expanding market for marine transportation, the effects on the Arctic are detrimental. Due to whales having a significant impact on cultural, economic, and environmental aspects of the Arctic, it is imperative that we manage for the sustainability of this resource. In order for the sustainability of whales to persist, we must prevent harmful actions through a mitigation plan. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Here are our references and a big thanks to all the people who have made our season possible. We will now take any questions you may have.
No questions.
So between all of you, oh, thank you.